Yevgeny Prigozhin, the commander of the Russian mercenary group Wagner, reported that almost all of his soldiers had left Bakhmut, the city they had taken control of in eastern Ukraine. 99% of Prigozhin's forces, he claimed, had fled the city. The Chechen Special Forces Akhmat Group are fighting an operation close to the town of Marinka in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk area, according to a report from Russia's Ministry of Defense. A pro-Ukrainian group calling itself the Freedom of Russia Legion claimed to be engaged in combat with Russian forces on the outskirts of a village in the Belgorod region of Russia, just across the Ukrainian border. On the boundaries of Novaya Zaporizhzhia, a settlement in the Belgorod region, there is active combat. However, freedom is achieved through blood, the Legion declared in a statement, notwithstanding the unfortunate fact that several legionnaires were wounded. Before officials cancelled air raid alerts over the majority of the nation, Ukrainian forces in Kiev claimed to have shot down 36 Russian missiles and drones in and around the capital overnight. 2 individuals were hurt by falling debris. Since the beginning of May, Russia has attacked Kiev with around 20 missile and drone operations. Russian authorities report that intense fire from the Ukrainian side resulted in 2 fatalities and 6 injuries in the Russian border town of Belgorod. Among those hurt were 2 children. According to a Russian-installed official in Donetsk, Ukrainian shelling on the city of Makiyivka resulted in at least 3 fatalities and 4 injuries, including a 3-year-old girl. According to the Kiev Independent, Russian soldiers bombed the Kharkiv region, killing 2 people and injured 4 more. According to a Russian-installed official in Zaporizhzhia, at least 9 people were hurt when Ukrainian forces shelled the port city of Berdyansk, which is under Russian control. A Russian-installed official claimed that Ukrainian forces struck a hospital camp in the occupied section of Zaporizhzhia area, while the governor of Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia region said that at least 2 persons were killed and 4 were injured as a result of a Russian bombardment on a village. He said nothing more specific. When citizens complained about a lack of bunkers, sealed bunkers, and restricted access to them, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky voiced his displeasure. Zelensky remarked that the city's degree of carelessness cannot be justified and ordered his government to address the situation. In an inquiry into the deaths of 3 civilians who were locked out of air raid shelters after a Russian bombardment, Ukrainian police made 4 arrests. After running to a shelter in Kiev only to discover it was closed, a 9-year-old child, her mother, and another lady were murdered by falling debris. The U.S. will not assist peace negotiations for the war in Ukraine, according to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, until Kiev has the upper hand, possibly following a Ukrainian counteroffensive. According to Blinken, heeding appeals for a ceasefire and peace talks to end the war from Russia and others, including China, would lead to a Potemkin peace that would not protect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity or improve European security. As long as a war is ongoing, Zelensky acknowledged that it would be impossible for Ukraine to join the NATO military alliance. He claimed that Ukraine's membership in the alliance remained the best security assurance. And for that reason, we are aware that we won't join NATO as long as this conflict is ongoing. No, not because we wouldn't like to. Since it is impossible. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned his cabinet members not to let this under any circumstances, as ill-wishers stepped up their efforts to destabilize Russia. Putin stated that the security of the nation's 190 ethnic groups would be discussed by the Security Council of Russia. Governments were urged to stop sending weapons to the battlefield and hold peace negotiations by China's envoy to Ukraine. Li Hui stated, China believes that if we really want to end the war, save lives, and achieve peace, it is important for us to stop sending weapons to the battlefield, or else the tensions will only spiral up. After the majority of parliamentarians voted against a proposal that would have permitted other countries to supply Switzerland-made weapons to Ukraine, the Swiss parliament rejected an exception for the transfer of guns to Ukraine. Switzerland's neutral rules forbid aiding nations engaged in armed conflict. Mark Milley, the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, announced that the training of Ukrainian forces in the use of Abrams tanks had started. A proposed law establishing a committee to investigate Russian influence has been dropped by Polish President Andrzej Duda as a result of criticism from the European Union and the U.S., among others.